Hey guys, Marla Kelly here. Welcome back. This is the weekly reading for the week of October 22nd, 2017. So the first cards are these two at the beginning. I've drawn cards from the Enchanted Map deck from Colette Barton Reed and also cards from the Goddess Guidance deck from Doreen Virtue and one card from the Power of Surrender. So the first card we have, this is the overall energy this week. And we have Ride the Wave and we have Freya Bold. So Ride the Wave, that card says right now, success is easy and effortless. So there is a wave of energy that's coming in from the universe. And this wave is giving us a bit of a push. And the way that the energy's been is, for a long time, we've just been waiting around and we've been wanting things to happen, but nothing's really appeared to be changing. And now, slowly but surely, we see these changes starting to take place. So with this week, we have this wave of energy. Now, I'm not going to lie, this energy is not going to be completely smooth sailing for everybody. Some of you may already have experienced a little bit of turbulence. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But the moon just came out of Scorpio and is in Sagittarius now. So whenever we have this Scorpio energy, we're dealing with letting go of things. So we're letting go of things that are no longer serving us. Many of us are taking a look at patterns, especially those patterns that we've kind of inherited from our family and our parents. Perhaps wondering if these things still fit us or not. Because right now our energy needs to be really expansive because the universe is helping you manifest whatever it is you're wanting to create. But often the reason why we don't see the things we want materialize is because we're not expansive enough. We have too many limitations. So when I talk about releasing things from your family, I'm talking about releasing limitations. It's actually a time right now where anything can happen, embrace it. People and situations will just happen. They'll just fall into your lap. You'll be at the right place at the right time. It's this sort of thing that the Ride the Wave energy is talking about. Things just come kind of effortlessly. But like I said, for some, there'll be a small bit of turbulence associated with it. It shouldn't be anything that lasts long. Besides the moon that we had in Scorpio, of course, we have Jupiter in Scorpio for a long transit, but also tomorrow the sun is entering Scorpio. Or if you're on the East Coast, that's going to happen later on tonight. And the sun is going to be joining up with Jupiter on, I think it's Tuesday. So there could be some ego issues coming up, for example, with Sun conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio. Maybe some issues around your power, feeling powerless, this sort of thing. The other card that we have from the Goddess deck is Freya Bold. Unleash your adventurous side, take risks, and be daring. So if the universe brings you something, if it brings you people or situations, you got to grab it. It's not a time to be timid or to be afraid. It's a time to make decisions, stick with your decisions, know what you want, and be assertive. But I want to just clarify that it's not a great time to push too hard for things. Okay, because we're here riding this wave. If we push too hard, we're going to turn into a drowning man, trying to stay afloat and gasping for air. Okay, we want to, literally, if you're in a drowning situation and you start freaking out and you start flapping your arms all over the place and trying to scream, you actually drown yourself more. If you let go, give in, and just be still, your body will float. Okay, it's that kind of situation. So allow your body to float. Don't have any fear, which is what Freya is saying. Don't have any fear. Be expansive, which means don't hold on to your fears. Let them go. Challenge your fears. Walk through your fears. And the universe is going to be like 100% supporting you. Okay, so the next card, the next two cards, Solitude and Green Tara, are in the position of hidden influence. So this is something that we may not see coming. And the Solitude card says, I'm comfortable in my own skin and I detach to replenish my soul. Well, what I'm feeling from the Solitude card, this card is representing, I think, what a lot of people are going to be feeling when I talked about there being a little bit of turbulence. It's because you're going to feel lonely. You're going to feel abandoned. And perhaps lacking faith in your ability to bring positive growth or change into your life. You know, there may be a time where you just want to hide or you need to hide based on the energies. Now, Green Tara is here. Her message is start delegating. Ask others, including me, to help you instead of trying to do everything by yourself. The universe wants you to know that they're here to help you. You're not alone. They're supporting you. You just have to ask for help. They're also saying with the Solitude card, a lot of you feel like you've got to do everything yourself. And I've talked about this the last couple weeks. You feel like you can't depend on anybody else, that you're all alone in this, and that you've got to handle it all. And that is not the truth. This is what I talk about when I'm speaking of limitations. You're limiting yourself by believing that you have to do it all, that no one cares about you, that you can't trust other people. And this has to do with the damaged masculine side, I feel. Because the feminine side receives help. She's grateful. It's the masculine side. And remember, I think we talked about this last week. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. And when we're balanced in that energy is when we have a balanced life. And we know when to take action and when to rest, when to ask for help, when to push. So this week, try to get into your feminine energy a little bit too in asking for help. And it may be that you need to ask for help because your soul is really crying out for some alone time. It's crying out for a break and it wants to rest and it wants you to nurture yourself a little bit. So I feel like it's just that. Like you have to ask for help so that you can take care of you. So don't be worried about doing that. It's perfectly okay. The next two cards, Coming Apart and Mother Mary, this is regarding what's coming in the situation. And so the Coming Apart card says, now is the time to take separate paths. While Mary says, expect a miracle. Have faith that your prayers have been heard and are being answered. Okay, so with this energy riding the wave, okay, the universe is putting things into motion for you. And when I speak about that turbulence, right, sometimes that turbulence is because the way the universe is bringing things to you, it's not what you expect. And it makes you afraid. And that's why you've got that Solitude card, why you're feeling abandoned. So I feel like this is one of those things, like relationships are changing. And with Jupiter and Scorpio, they're going to be changing for sure. And one of those things is that relationships are going to come apart. And you might see the beginning of this this week. Now, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. So if some of you feel like, oh my God, is my marriage going to fall apart? No, not necessarily. It could be your marriage, but it could be a friendship, or it could be a family relationship as well, or a business relationship. Anywhere where you have a partnership, there could be some turbulence in that partnership. And what happens a lot of times is the people that we surround ourselves with are there because they are on the same vibrational frequency as we are. And when we shift and change, the people around us shift and change, because those people that once were on our frequency no longer are. And if we try to keep them in our life, what happens is they keep dragging our frequency down. They lower our energy. Sometimes they're energetic vampires, and they just keep taking, draining you. Or these could be relationships that are limiting you. You know, if you have a spouse that's constantly criticizing you, if you have a friend that's always undermining you, if your family members are always making you feel guilty about something, those relationships are not in your best interest, and they're limiting you. They're limiting you from having the life that you want. And so those relationships are going to start coming apart. This could be part of the wave. And so something could happen within those partnerships that make you feel like you've been abandoned. And there you might go into that solitude card sitting in your tower. You know, maybe there's an argument, or somehow they disregard your feelings, something like that. But Mother Mary is here saying, expect a miracle. Your prayers have been heard and answered. What people on the spiritual path learn is that people come and go. And just like I said, it depends where you are on your own journey. People come into your life to help you. You learn from them, you grow from them, and then you move on. Remember, I talked about that in the Ride the Wave when I was first talking about it, and that people and situations will just show up in your life that are there to help you. But we have to make room for those relationships by letting go of something else. So don't be afraid if that happens. Because Mary here is saying, your prayers have been heard and answered, and the universe is doing whatever it can to help you. So just let go of that person, and know that there'll be a new person that comes and takes the place of that person. Or if that person is really meant to be in your life, then the relationship will shift enough to help it stay. Okay, and then the last card is Dragon's Lair. This is advice from Spirit. And the message here is, you are always protected and divinely directed. So Dragon's Lair means that you're going into some uncharted territory. You're being called to do something you've never done before, to go someplace you've never gone. Perhaps the energy is going to be different. At this Dragon's Lair, what the guides are saying to us is, you have to take some risks, and you have to step out of your comfort zone and go someplace you haven't gone before. And this Dragon's Lair can seem really scary because we've never been there before. And we may feel like, the image on this card, it looks really imposing. It looks almost like a haunted castle, and we see these red eyes staring at us. But that's just our fears creating some kind of projection. We don't know what's inside. kind of like Pandora's box. You have to open up the box. You have to take that risk in order to see what's inside. So the guides are telling us this week to go in. Go into the dragon's lair. Face your fears. It's not going to be as bad as you think, because the universe is always guiding you. They're not going to leave you behind. And you might have some very pleasant surprises in the dragon's lair. And if we don't challenge ourselves to do new things, to try new things, we never grow. We never get anywhere. Too many people are doing that. They're just staying with what they know out of fear, and they're not growing, and they're stagnating. And every year that they don't do something, they shrink a little bit more and a little bit more, and they get more fears. Now, this is something I discovered in my own life. The more you resist facing your fears, the more your fears multiply. And you think, well, I'm not going to do that because that causes me fear. I'll do this. But then before you know it, that other thing causes you fear. And then this thing causes you fear. Before you know it, you're afraid to leave your house. You're afraid to do anything. You're afraid to take any kind of risk. And you're stuck in this unhappy life. Have to face your fears, because they're not as bad as you think. If you don't take risks, if you don't take bold moves, sure, you might not have anything really bad happen to you, but guess what? You won't have anything really good happen to you either. You're just going to be stuck in a mundane life of mediocrity. So this week, don't be afraid. Follow your heart. Now, our surrender card this week, what we're surrendering. Surrender your fear of intimacy. You're ready to let love in. Compassionately identify and begin to release any patterns that stop you from opening up your heart. So often we think about intimacy as being sexual, but true intimacy is related to communication and being able to relate to other people with a fully open heart and not wearing a mask, but being your true self. You can't be intimate with someone if you are afraid to show who you truly are. And so if you have this fear, the relationships that you're in are not based on truth. They're based on a projection of who you're showing yourself to be. In order to create the right relationships in your life, you have to be yourself and you have to surrender any fears of intimacy. You've got to be authentic. That requires bold moves, and it requires trust in the universe. So if you're in a situation where you find that the relationship you're in is not satisfying you, or there's some relationship coming apart, okay, look at your fear of intimacy in that relationship and how is that connected to the relationship? So even if it's like with your mother or father, how much are you fully being authentic with them? How much are you fully living your truth? Or are you still hiding parts of yourself? Okay, that's not an honest exchange of energy. And if you're not living your truth, it makes it difficult to create the life that you want. Now, if you're looking for a romantic partnership, okay, a lot of you, want a really deep romantic partnership, yet you still have fears of intimacy. You still have fears of opening up, and so it's really hard for you to create that relationship that you want. This card has a lot to do with that Scorpio energy I talked about too, because Scorpio rules intimate relationships. It rules sexuality. So I'm guessing that for a lot of you, this is going to revolve around a romantic relationship. Maybe a relationship that has just come into your life or is coming into your life and you want to take it to the next level. But you're still struggling with fears of opening up. So now with the Sun and Jupiter going through Scorpio, Mercury's in Scorpio, now is the time to look at these issues. And maybe you need to have some solitude time to do that. There could be some stress coming up this week is what I feel in general. And perhaps lack of sleep, not being able to sleep because of anxiety or bad dreams. Again, I don't like to put too much negative stuff out there because I don't want to actually create that for people. But on the other hand, if you're feeling that, I want you to know that you're not alone in that. So there could be some stress, and the angels and guides just want us to know that there's really nothing to be stressed out about. Just ride the wave, and you've been doing a lot of work, and you're ready to ride this wave, and which means staying balanced in the energy. You're ready to do it now. Thank you so much, guys. I love you, and I will talk to you next week.